This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is Ashley Eckstein, Ahsoka Tano from Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to a Day 1 recap of Star Wars Celebration London. I'm your host, Dan Z. Thrilled to be talking Star Wars and Star Wars Celebration with each and every one of you. It is pretty late here. It is 11 o'clock p.m. London time, which for me means it's about, a little after 5 Illinois time, which is what I'm used to. But the jet lag didn't bother me. Let's go back a little bit. I left on Wednesday. I left home a little after lunchtime and headed to the airport. And through a confluence of craziness, I ended up going from one airport to another airport in Chicago. But I will say that Delta, who took care of me, paid for my cab to get switched to the other airport because there was a delay and I wouldn't get to London in time, gave me a food voucher, and I got to London nonstop, which was great. And I only was late an hour, which wasn't bad at all. I was really happy with that. It worked out well. It was very much a long day of traveling, but it was totally fine. I was in the zone, ready to do my thing and enjoy Star Wars Celebration. And then from there, I took the tube to the hotel, which is really near the convention center. And that took by the time I got through customs and got out of the airport and got on the train and got to my hotel, it was about 2 hours. But it was fun. I came, and the trick that Deanna and I do on these things is that as soon as you get on that plane, you adapt to the new time, which Becky Mankin of MEI and Mouse Fan Travel shared with me. And then Deanna read somewhere that as soon as you get to the hotel, you go there, don't take a nap, don't rest, go take a shower, and then spend your whole day and just stay up a long time and tire yourself out, and then there's no jet lag. And that has worked like a charm, by the way. An absolute charm. So after I did that, I went down to get my badge at the convention center, and literally I was about to get on the train. Clayton Sandell got off the train, which was great, and I was going to meet up with him anyway, so he and I went over to the convention center just to kind of check out the lay of the land before it opened. We went in and did an audio check to make sure that everything worked for the podcast stage. Ran into some people and got our badges. And that was great. Plus, you want to see if you've never been to a celebration before, you want to see the lay of the land and figure out how it's all going to look for you. So we did that, and then he and I went and got some dinner, caught up a little bit, and then I had a great time. Actually, no, Clayton and I met after. I went and had dinner with Brian Sims, who's an excellent photographer and just an all-around great guy. People in fandom certainly know Brian. But he and I got to catch up for a really long time, which we don't often get to do, and that was really awesome. He's just a terrific man and very gracious with his time, so that was good. And then Clayton met us later and hung out at the bar very briefly, and then I went into my hotel, called my family, and then get this. I went to bed at 10 o'clock London time, and I did not wake up until 7:30 the next day. And I mean, I was out. Usually the first couple of days in Europe, I'll wake up a few times in the middle of the night, just kind of like aware that something is off, and then I just go back to sleep. Well, that didn't happen last night because I knew that today, Friday, was going to be a big day, and it certainly was. I woke up, went and had breakfast in the lobby just quickly, got some coffee, of course, and then I walked over to the convention center. And the way it works from here is I have to go over to the train stop and take the train one stop and get off at the Excel Center. And then you just walk in, and I had to go over and pick up some passes for some things. And as soon as I did that, then they walked us over into the convention center, which is great. And we went to the panel, the main panel, the Lucasfilm studio panel. And ladies and gentlemen, once you hear the podcast stage, you hear my instant reactions. But the announcements we got were unbelievable. And hopefully you were following along on Twitter on the live feeds when I go in there and do stuff for press. I try to live tweet everything that's happening, put a bunch of hashtags in there, and so many of you were following along and liking and retweeting and commenting, and that helps so much, and I really appreciate you helping me get the word out about our Star Wars community, so thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. I post a lot of stories on Instagram as well, and it's very exciting. It's a very adrenaline-filled experience covering an event like that because you're a fan and you want to make sure to get out your information to everybody as well. But it was all well worth it. Andor, the cast of Andor was there, and Tony Gilroy was there, and there was some great stuff there to find out about. They sound like they were very much at peace, with only being 2 seasons because they knew where they wanted to go and how they were going to get there. And it sounds like they're going to finish shooting here, I think, in May. So that's exciting. And they didn't, of course, say when season 2 was going to air, but it's certainly something to look forward to. And then there was the Ahsoka. Well, no, that wasn't the next thing. Well, next was Skeleton Crew. And the best thing about Skeleton Crew, well, there's a lot of things. The cast came out, and the cast of kids that are going to be in it, they were just absolutely so adorable, so delightful, and they seem to have the very best time just being together, kind of being like a little family and bonding with the main star of the show, I would say. That, of course, is Jude Law. And we got to see a pretty detailed... Oh, wait. Let me go back on my Twitter feed. I can't remember the exact time zone. A lot has happened today, but I'll just stick with talking about Skeleton Crew. So Jude Law came out, and they introduced the trailer, and the trailer was magnificent. I don't think this one has dropped yet, but I'm sure we'll see it eventually. Yeah, it wasn't. I don't see it at all. Feel free to let me know if I'm wrong. I'm just looking through my tweets on this whole thing. But at the end of it, they showed someone moving an object with their mind telekinesis, and it was Jude Law. So then we're like, okay, this means Jude Law is a Jedi, which is awesome. And he joked about saying that he'd been preparing for the role since he was 6 years old, which I thought was pretty fun, pretty charming. The directors for Skeleton Crew for the episodes, they didn't say how many. They just gave us a picture of some of the directors of the actual thing. But you've got John Watts, who, of course, is very well known to fans of the Marvel Universe because he, the creators of the new Spider-Man series with Tom Holland did this. So you got John Watts, David Lowery, Daniels, his name is listed right there, Jake Scherer, Bryce Dallas Howard, and Lee Isaac Chung. So that's great. And anytime you see Bryce Dallas Howard attached to anything Star Wars related, you're happy because we know she's done such a spectacular job. So there's that. Then we have but I'm going to rewind a little bit. I apologize for the scattered explanations that I'm giving you. But they cast the Acolyte was first, and Eunice Suetamo came out. He's playing a Wookiee Jedi. I thought it was going to be Buryaga. It wasn't. But his name is Belnaka, something like that. And when he came out in the Wookiee costume, he looked fabulous. And then later you find out that it was actually Eunice, which is great. The creator of this series, and she's the director, showrunner, she's doing everything, Leslie Headland. She was really fun. She had a lot of energy and passion. And she said 4 episodes are completely done. She pitched it, The Acolyte, as Frozen meets Kill Bill. How is that for a combo? She said there'll be a ton of Jedi, and the trailers we saw certainly back that up. But I will say the fight scenes and the choreography that I saw was unlike anything I've ever seen in Star Wars. I mean, the level of detail in Kung Fu is out of this world. And I use Kung Fu as a very general term. I just mean heavy martial arts. We're not ready for it. We've never seen anything like it in Star Wars. Even when there's cool martial arts, nothing like that. Absolutely nothing like that. I guess all the actors went through 3 months of Jedi training, which was great. And then Amanda Steinberg is one of the main leads in this. She said the blurred lines between reality and magic are what are very appealing about this story. So we have that to look forward to. Then the Mando situation, the Mandalorian panel was on. Pedro Pascal's not able to be there, but he had a video thanking everybody, which is cool. Filoni and Favreau were there, and Rick Famuyiwa was there, and Carl Weathers, Katie Sackhoff, Emily Swallow. I think that's everybody that I can remember. They were all there. There was a great picture that I posted on Twitter of all of the pilots, which was Filoni and Favreau and everybody. And even Doug Chang was there too in a blue X-Wing pilot suit, which is cool. We did find out that Rick Famuyiwa is directing the last 2 episodes of Season 3 of The Mandalorian. And then they answered a few questions about Ahmed Best coming back and how neat it was. And then they announced, similar to Star Wars Celebration Europe, or Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, they were going to show the next episode. Whereas with Obi-Wan, we saw the first 2 episodes. With this, we saw episode 7 from season 3. And that, of course, is coming out on Wednesday, next Wednesday. But it was not a big deal. Because it was a big deal because we got to see it. But that it's coming out the 12th. So they let us see it very early if you had the wristband on. So I did get to see episode 7 of The Mandalorian already, and I promised that I wouldn't say anything, and I'm not going to. But I'm excited for you all to see it. I am very excited for you all to see it. That's all I'm going to say. But you will not want to miss it for anything. If you are even a casual Star Wars fan, you will not want to miss it. There's no way. All right, and then after Mando was Skeleton Crew, which we already talked about. Let's see. The main stuff there I talked about with Jude Law and that great cast. That was really fun. Then we got some Ahsoka info, which I didn't expect. Kathleen Kennedy took a moment, and she and Jon Favreau gushed about Dave Filoni's talents and his passion. And Dave Filoni, every time I see him in these situations, he looks very humbled, very gracious, and he's like the least arrogant guy. It's really pretty wonderful. It's really, really great. Favreau made a big deal about Dave never squashing anybody's ideas and always making sure that everybody, like he helps to guide and shape them. Again, just a tribute to what the guy's like. Then Rosario Dawson came out, and we got to see a trailer, which you've all seen now online, and there was a poster, and it looks amazing. I mean, there was a tease of Thrawn at the end. We got to see Sabine in a costume, which was absolutely amazing. And then a massive announcement. Mary Elizabeth, you might know her from Scott Pilgrim, but she came out and they showed her. She's Hera. She's a live-action Hera Syndulla. And, it's the cast of Rebels. What more can you say? It's absolutely wonderful to see. Tomorrow is the big Ahsoka Tano panel, and it's an hour long, so I'm hoping we'll get to see a lot and hear a lot more information. But we've already seen the trailer. It's already got 4.4 million views from Star Wars' official YouTube channel at the time of this recording. So I'd say it's doing pretty well. And then they talked about their 10 years at Pinewood, and they were very excited about that. Neil Scanlon came out with several of his creations. He, of course, he has created all of the creatures in Star Wars. And then they said, look, we're not done. Star Wars movies are a big, big part of this universe. And electricity went through this room like you just could not imagine. Well, you could probably imagine. Of course you could. You're all massive Star Wars fans. But they put up this image of these timelines. And we had Dawn of the Jedi, the Old Republic, the High Republic, Fall of the Jedi, Rise of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, the New Republic, Rise of the First Order, and then New Jedi Order. Now, all of them were up there, and everyone went berserk, but they didn't show New Jedi Order until the end because they had a couple of announcements that they were going to share. And I know that you all have heard it, and you all went crazy as I did. But James Mangold is making, in his words, a daunting biblical epic that is 25,000 years ago, before The Phantom Menace. It has to do with the dawn of the Force, the dawning of the Force, 25,000 years before any known Star Wars. Wow. I mean, what can you say? They're really going all over the place. And then the announcement, I think that, well, there are so many major ones, but this one, hearing that Dave Filoni is actually going to make a Star Wars movie set in the Mandalorian universe. He said it's going to focus on a timeline after Return of the Jedi with the dawn of the New Republic and before The Force Awakens. So that's great, too. We're going to get to see more stuff from the world of the Mandalorian. And Dave Filoni gets to direct a Star Wars film. I mean, what could be better than that? And then there was an announcement of a director. Her name is Charmine. And I missed her full name because by then everybody was so delirious and screaming that I could hardly hear anything. But they said they're going to focus on the New Jedi Order. And she's always loved the hero's journey, which, of course, piqued my interest. But there was talk of a Jedi Academy with a powerful Jedi Master. And then all of a sudden she introduced Jedi Master Daisy Ridley Ray. And they played Ray's theme. And I have goosebumps again telling you this. And I'm not kidding. This sounds crazy, but you'll understand this. when they announced her and Daisy Ridley walked on stage, not only did I have goosebumps, my scalp had like a goosebumps. It was crazy. I just could not believe it. She seemed so happy, and it was glorious. We're getting 3 Star Wars movies. We don't know anything about them, when they're coming out. We know Daisy Ridley is in the new one. She plays the Jedi Master, and she's building a new Jedi Order. It's absolutely terrific. Finally, some Star Wars movies. I love everything that we've gotten, but Star Wars and movies have always been the oxygen that worked so well together. So it's tremendous. It's tremendous. And then we had some Indiana Jones stuff. Harrison wasn't there. He sent a fun little video. We got to see the poster, which was brand new. And then Phoebe Waller-Bridge came out, and she said something interesting. She said that her character is someone that Indy has not seen in years, as far as like physically. And she said that they share antagonism as well as several things in common. Mango talked about filming in Morocco and Sicily. Phoebe talked about getting Harrison Ford to laugh was a great challenge, but massively rewarding. And shameless plug, I did get to make Harrison laugh at that Rise of Skywalker premiere, so I felt like, well, at least I've got that in common with Phoebe Waller-Bridge, so that was pretty fun. And then she had a great story about when Harrison Ford walked on set in his full costume with the hat. She said everyone was just swooning and smiling, and James Mangold had to keep on saying everyone needs to quit smiling during this scene. But they were so happy to see Harrison in the full gear, and Harrison was like, what's the big deal? Because to him, it's Harrison. So it was just absolutely fabulous. Then we got to see the new Indy trailer, which was great. And then a special treat that were only available for people in that room. I got to see 6 minutes of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. It was right from the middle of the film. And it was wonderful. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it was absolutely terrific. Tons of action, some moments of humor, but it was classic. It was pretty violent. But I mean, Indiana Jones violence, so what do you expect? But I was very pleased with how they did it. And we're in for a real treat. Indiana Jones is going to be terrific, obviously. So I cannot wait for that. And then after that was done, it was like 12:30. The panel went quite a bit longer. And so I went and I went on the show floor very, very briefly. It was so crowded. The Excel Center is huge, but where they have the main things for the show floor, they're all like in big separate rooms. Like the Star Wars stage is in its own room. You've got either side, you've got major shopping experiences and vendors and Hasbro and Funko and all kinds of stuff like that. So I didn't get to see very much. I've got some more coverage tomorrow. I'll try to take a couple pictures for all of you. And then I went over and I met up with Adam Christopher, had some lunch. Adam and I have been friends for a while, but we haven't gotten to meet face-to-face. It was great to spend time with him today. And then he and I walked over to the podcast stage and got ready and did the podcast. And the podcast stage was wonderful. Now, Coffee with Kenobi has the record. I guess we've always had it for being the podcast that's been on the podcast stage at Celebration more than any podcast. And not only that, but we were also the first one to ever take the stage. So really wonderful things that I'm really proud of. And it was great fun. The room was packed. I got to see a lot of new and old friends. And Daz Davies was there. And that was very special. So I got to see him. And Adam was great. As you'll hear later in the week, you'll get to hear the show. He was terrific. And then after that, we... what else did I do? Then it was time after that to go and get in line for The Mandalorian and to watch the 7th episode, which again, as I said, I'm not going to spoil, but you are not going to want to miss it. You are not going to want to miss it. I can promise you that. And then after that, Clayton and Adam and I went out and got some sushi and hung out and caught up, and that was a blast. And I came back to the hotel, and I'm recording this, getting some stuff ready for tomorrow. Another big day, another full day. We've got the Ahsoka panel. I've got some great interviews coming your way, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's a one-man show, but it's meaning Coffee with Kenobi, but I am trying to help you feel like you were a part of this experience. One of the best ways you can do that is certainly follow me on Twitter for the news and retweets and things like that, but I'm putting a ton of pictures on my Instagram stories for Coffee with Kenobi A few on Twitter and Facebook, but mostly on Instagram. So be sure to check them out there. Spread the word. Let everybody know about what's going on with Star Wars Celebration. Really appreciate you spending time with me. I'm going to release this and looking forward to your feedback and try to do these daily recaps so we can talk about all the great, exciting news and announcements from Star Wars Celebration. I am Dan Zare. Thank you so much, everybody. We will talk to you tomorrow. Remember to follow me online everywhere to get the latest updates. I appreciate it so much. May the Force be with all of you, and I will talk to you soon. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
There's no one here. Move along.